Good morning, guys, and welcome to my unboxing and review of the high-grade Blue Destiny Unit 1 exam. I got this kit for around $20, which is pretty typical for a standard high grade. This kit, as you can see, was made in 2017, and this is from one of the many One-Year War side stories, Mobile Suit Gundam side story, The Blue Destiny. And as you can see here, this suit was the first EFSF first produced mobile suit custom type, in air quotes. What that really means is it's the first kind of new type mobile suit produced by the EFSF, not to make use of new type abilities, but to give kind of new type abilities to old type pilots. Like what would be used later, this system was almost like, the effect was almost entirely copied by the Todesritter, which was used like, I think 20 years after the One-Year War. Except that, like, overclock the pilot's brain. This uses the trapped soul of a new type to give the old type pilot the abilities of that soul. This would also be used in the build series with the Gym Sniper 2 K9 that had the exam system on board to give it an extra, I think it was like reaction speed and general speed improvement. And as you can see, this is a very typical high-grade box. Very nice art on the front, some info on the bottom, showing off the painted build, the posability of it, the accessories, which are very minimal, and you get two different head options and two different eye options. So the green is for the exam off, red is for exam on. The left head is just a standard gym ground type head, which is what was used in the game. That's the head of the Blue Destiny Unit 0. And the head on the right is the manga head, which has this different antenna on it. This is number 207 in the line. And just some information about the Blue Destiny itself, some standard information about the box, and inside the box we get a standard high-grade style manual giving information on the mobile suit with a very nice full spread of the painted build. Notably, it says here the generator output is unknown, even though this mobile suit, apart from the head, is just a standard Gundam ground type. That's because when the exam system goes berserk and the new type soul inside takes control, it can break its limits or whatever and go nuts. But yeah, on the back we have a sticker guide for the marking decal stickers. And then inside is just a standard kind of high-grade build. Now, as for the runners themselves, we get 4 bags of runners, and inside those bags, 10 runners, as well as this marking sticker sheet. It's kind of hard to see on camera because it's white stickers on very light blue background, but it's just some standard EFF logos. You see the emblem there, and the O1 because it's the Blue Destiny Unit 1. And this foil sticker sheet for some color correcting stickers. This looks a lot worse than it actually is, because you're only going to be seeing half of the stickers that are in both green and red here. One for exam off and one for exam on. And the rest is some triangle marking stickers similar to what we saw in the F90 and the F91. Some red and black striped stickers, and then this white color correcting sticker up here. Now, for the runners themselves, runner A1 is in this multicolor runner here, in the kind of pale, not really pale, but like muted blue that this kit uses for armor parts, a clear red part here for the exam mode visor, and a clear green part for the standard visor. And then we also have runner A2. This is one of those weird cases where the 2 runner isn't just a copy of a part of runner A1. Instead, it's just a gigantic runner that they split in 2 for the sake of fitting in the box. Here we have parts for the torso, hand parts, head parts, and other armor parts, including this part here for the Gundam ground type style shield. Oh, and forgot to mention, this is in a slightly darker blue than the other one. This kit's color palette is kind of very monotone, with it being muted blue and dark blue. You also have a part for the antenna for the manga style head there. Runner B1 and B2, B2 being a copy of this whole section of the runner here. For some more armor parts, you have parts for the feet here, you have parts for the back skirt, the front crotch section, 2 red parts for the head, because you're building 2 different heads for this kit, and some inner frame parts here, and like some, I think, vent details. Runner C1 and C2, containing some inner frame parts in dark gray. C2 is a copy of this bottom right section of the runner. You also have inner parts for the shield, parts for the 100mm machine gun, including like the wire stock, some frame parts for attaching the shield, and some hand parts here. Looks like we do get a nice open expressive hand. Runner D in a similar pale blue to Runner A for some additional armor parts, and the main part for the ground Gundam style shield, and the backs of the hands right here. And very small Runner E for some additional frame parts and some extra hand parts, including an additional open expressive hand, which is always good to see. As always for standard high grade kits, the venerable SB13 in that classic clear pink color. And being a high grade from 8 years ago, it's a polycap build using PC002 for some joint parts. Alright, so with those runners out of the way, I will see you after the build. Alright, I've snap built and panel lined the kit, and before I get it decaled and top coated, I just want to cover a couple of things I didn't mention in the earlier section. The runners used to make this kit were printed in July 2024, and while most of the runners here are new for the Blue Destiny Unit 1, the C runners are reused from the HGUC 202 kit, the high grade ground gym. It was almost all frame parts and parts for the 100mm machine gun, and the inner parts for the shield. Now for the stickers, as you can see, I have not used all the stickers in this kit because, as I mentioned, a lot of the stickers are split into 2, one for the standard mode, one for the exam on mode. So sticker 1 is the head camera parts for the game type head, in the standard green colors, which I did not use. Sticker 2, you get 2 of for the head cameras, both the front and the back, in metallic red. Stickers 3 and 4 for the manga head, for the front and rear cameras in standard mode. 5 and 6 are the same, but for exam mode. Sticker 7 underneath the visor there, you can kind of see it. Green, kind of standard Gundam eye stickers. Sticker 8 not used is the same, but red for exam mode. While on the standard head, sticker 9 I didn't use. 2 circular eye stickers in green for standard mode. I use sticker 10 for exam mode. You can see it pretty clearly underneath the visor. Sticker 11 I did not use. It is for the antenna on the manga head in white. It's one of those really bad wraparound stickers that peel up and look awful no matter how you apply it. So I just painted it white using a Gundam marker. Sticker 12 on the front of the torso for this large red triangle sticker. Stickers 13, you get 3 of, 1 for each of the knees, and 1 for the back skirt, these smaller red triangle stickers. And finally, sticker 14, for these, I thought they were vent details. Apparently there's some kind of like thruster propulsion unit on the sides of the legs. You get 2 of. So normally for like a high grade kit, a lot of people, including myself, for kind of a basic high grade, would just basically leave it like this. Snap build, nub marks cleaned up, panel lined, and then you're done. But this is a design I really like, and this is the kit that I want to end up using for size comparisons later for other kits I review. So I'm going to put a little more effort into this. I have this decal sheet from G Rework. These are the first third-party decals I bought for a Gundam kit, so I'm excited to try them out. And I'm going to be using, of course, Mr. Hobby Premium Flat Top Coat. Protect the decals and give it a more like matte finish. So I will see you in the booth. Alright, so welcome back. So here's the Blue Destiny Unit 1, all panel line decaled and top coated. So this is my first time using G Rework decals, and they're actually quite nice. I do really like how they look. Definitely way better than the standard marking stickers that this kit comes with. And getting a little bit into the build, this kit feels surprisingly modern, despite being 8 years old, and being a relatively cheap high grade. it's still quite nice. A lot of the nub marks are very small in places that are either hidden on edges that are very easy to buff out. The vast majority of this kit was built with a single snip off the runner and then just buffed out with my finger. There are some parts you're going to need to pay a little more attention to, namely on the upper bicep here, there is a nub mark directly in the middle of the arm that works best if you use a glass file or something like that to get rid of it cleanly. But yeah, the build of this goes together quite nicely. It's very standard high grady in that it's a polycap build. There isn't much inner frame besides the visible parts on the joints, so like the ankles, the knees, the elbows. There's a little bit more than what you would expect on the arms, because the blue armor just kind of sandwiches together. There isn't really a hollow space. The armor fits in. The inner frame that is there fits in there quite snugly. But yeah, aesthetically, I think this kit looks very nice. It's that like typical early UC, very blocky style of suit, being based on the Ground Gundam, because in lore this is basically a Ground Gundam with a Ground Gym's head that has a slightly improved reactor. The proportions are very much like that. It's very stocky, it's very rugged looking, with a very blocky torso. Longer side skirts than normal, those kind of square utilitarian feeling shoulders with the bar there. The little red accent triangle stickers help break up the very monotonous blue color scheme. The red on the chin, the little white on the antenna, which in this kit is a very bad wraparound sticker, so I just painted it in white. It's pretty easy to do. But yeah, aesthetically this kit looks quite nice. It's pretty much color accurate, as you would expect from a color scheme as simple as this. It would be kind of weird if they didn't have it color accurate out of the box, but a lot of parts are completely separate parts to help with that color separation. Those chest Vulcans, the abdominal missiles, the vent piece on the torso, all of these like two-tone blue parts that kind of separate from each other are all color separated, which is very nice. Design-wise, the only part I'm not the biggest fan of is the backpack. I think it's a little flat and like kind of pizza boxy. But yeah, it's in kind of a tough spot, because if they made it bigger, then the torso appears really big, bulbous, and unwieldy, but as it is now, it looks a little too flat. But yeah, I have the manga head on it now, in the standard mode. You might also notice that the visor for the manga part appears a little more cloudy than it was earlier. I messed up a little bit while I was top coating. I think the masking tape, when I masked it off, wasn't like fully covering it, and a little bit of the spray got through, and it results in this kind of like frosted glass look that I really quite like on the manga head in particular. Just have the... Here, let me get a little closer. So just have the eyes, like kind of this like hazy outline behind, I think is really cool. It definitely wouldn't work as well with the game head, where a lot of the inner detail is molded on the inside. I painted it in plated silver to kind of help it pop. I don't know if you can see that. You can only see the individual eyes, which I think is really cool on the game head. But yeah, there's a lot of individual molded detail on the inside of that wouldn't be visible if it had the same clouded problem that the manga head has. Aesthetically, I think it's really good. The only part that you probably should paint in, if you don't want to use the stickers, are those little vent things. It looks very flat on the sticker, and if you don't like that, it would be a good idea to paint it, because the geometry is fully molded underneath that sticker. The red triangles also help to break things up, and do seem a little pretty simple to paint. But yeah, I think this kit looks fantastic, and these G rework decals are really, really nice. I'm definitely glad I put them on this kit. So moving on to accessories. So there's the Blue Destiny Unit 1 with everything it comes with. This is definitely a pretty sparse kit in terms of accessories. This is definitely not something you get for having like a lot of gimmicks. This is just a kit that you get if you really like the design, as you can see from this accessory spread, but everything that you would expect to see is here. So starting with the main weapon, you have the standard Federation 100mm machine gun that you would see on kits like the Ground Gundam, the Ground Gym, the Gym Striker. A lot of these one-year war grunt suits have these. Prior to the gym, where of course they have the beam spray gun. This is the exact same gun that you would see on those kits. The only difference is the magazine on the bottom, instead of being in like I think like a dark gray or like a tan or something, is in the same dark blue that the Blue Destiny's torso uses. As for the shield, this is the same Ground Gundam, Ground Gym style shield that we've been seeing on a bunch of different kits. A very nice color separation between this dark blue segment down here and the lighter blue segment of the shield. Of course, the decals look very nice on it. G Rework really did a great job with this set. Yeah, on the back, you just have this attachment point that can swivel for when you want to use this as like a physical weapon, and a kickstand. So if you want to pose it with like a 180mm cannon that you have lying around, then you can do that. Of course, the two beam effects for the beam sabers, which in typical Ground Gundam fashion is stored in the leg here. It just pops open, and the beam saber is inside. It's just not a peg in there. This beam saber is pretty stubby compared to the standard beam sabers. It also comes in two parts, which, when you get it out, as you can see, kind of falls apart kind of easily. So yeah, this is quite a stubby beam saber, as you can see. For comparison, here's a standard size beam saber, the ARC 78-2s, and the beam saber's a little under 2/3 the size. It's very short. And of course, to go with this beam saber, standard 1/44 scale beam effect parts in this pretty typical pink color. So you'll see that when we get to the posing. Now for hand option parts, we have the standard holding hands that you would see at a lot of high grades on this kit, as well as this open expressive hand for only the left side. You also get the open expressive hand that was used in the ground gym. The only difference is the hand proportions are slightly changed. I think this one's a little smaller, and the curve is a little more pronounced on this. You also have all the parts to make the game head, which is just a typical ground gym head. It doesn't have that funky antenna. The proportions on the head cameras is a little different. They're identical, whereas here the front one's smaller than the back one. And the eyes underneath are two circles, which I think look really cool, instead of just the standard Gundam eyes underneath the visor. And then we have these two segments, which you just attach onto the backpack. When it's in exam mode, which we'll go over shortly during articulation. But yeah, you just swap out two parts in the back, and then you have these, I think it says they're thrusters in the manual, but these just look like vents. So I forgot to hit record earlier when I was doing the articulation section, so I already have it transformed to exam mode here. All you had to do was pull the shoulders out, replace the backpack parts with these two vent parts I mentioned earlier, and these leg thrusters there's two notches. You put onto the lower notch in exam mode and the upper notch for normal mode. The articulation of this kit's very nice, so running through a kind of lightning round. The head will look up quite far, down quite far, 360 spin, shoulders, not very far swing. The peg is built into the shoulder, and the joint only allows an upward swing. So while the articulation up is very, very good, the swing is not. Rotation at the upper bicep, full double bend in the elbow. The wrist is on a ball joint, but the actual socket is a little different. It allows for a lot more rotation than you would normally see in a high grade. Torso can rotate 90 degrees to either side. Minor backwards and forwards crunch. Decent side to side movement. Front skirts separated on ball joints can go all the way up. Side skirts can go up a little bit, or a decent amount. Back skirts fixed in place. The legs, very far frontward kick, 90 degree side kick, very limited back kick, full double bend at the knee, rotation at the upper thigh outward, not really inward because it collides with the waist, or the hips. Feet, ankle armor can move, downward bend, decent, upward bend not so much because the ankle collides with the shin, side to side, a little bit, full rotation, and there is some toe bend, but the ankle armor does get in the way of that. So yeah, overall, very nice articulation for a high grade. Let's get into some poses. But before we do that, here's a size comparison right next to a standard size high grade, the ARC 78-2 Revive. As you can see, they're about the same head height. In lore, they are exactly the same, but because of complete proportion tweaking, I think the Blue Destiny Unit 1 is just a hair smaller. But like realistically, they're almost exactly the same size, so I will be using the Blue Destiny in future size comparisons. So getting the Blue Destiny Unit 1 into some poses, the articulation and the overall solidness of this kit means it is stable enough for you to get a one-footed running and gunning pose on, which with relative ease. Like, I was surprised at how, like, kind of naturally and easily this pose came to this kit. A lot of other kits would struggle with it, but in general, this kit, the ground gym, which I haven't built but heard was very solid, the ground Gundam, all of these kind of early 1 Year War, like early UC 1 Year War kits, are all very stable, very robust, very capable of hitting poses like this. The open expressive hand is doing a lot to kind of emphasize the kind of the dynamism and the motion of this pose. Having the stock folded up also helps kind of emphasize the lightness and quickness of the weapon when used in this way, and this is a great pose for this kit to be in. Like, a lot of these 1 Year War kits actually do look quite natural on the ground, like in this pose, in this kind of ground Gundam 8th MS team style, kneeling behind the shield, using it to cover the joints of the back leg, while using the flip-out handle of the 100mm machine gun to kind of get a steady stream of fire on an opponent. This is also a decent pose to use on this, but if you want to have this kind of pose with your Blue Destiny Unit 1, I would steal a different weapon from another kit, like a bigger two-handed weapon to use in this pose, because the 100mm machine gun, as much as I like it, is a bit too small and dinky to work well in this pose, especially with two hands. It doesn't look quite right, it's a little too small. So if you have like the ground Gundam and you're not using the 180mm cannon, you can use that. That's a great option. I know there's an option set with a giant Gatling that would also work, like a hyper bazooka or something like that would work great in this pose. But that isn't to say that this kit doesn't also look good in on an action base and a flying pose, because this very aggressive like firing pose, almost Seed-esque, with the kind of the shield flared out and the legs in this very not quite flying kick pose, but in a very dynamic downward firing shot. This kit also looks quite good, although I'm not entirely sure this is exactly the pose I would use in this kit, because the kind of very blocky proportions and things like that make it not look the greatest in a ranged flying pose. As we'll see later in exam mode, it looks fine in melee. It's just, in range it's a little awkward, and if you want to pose this using the 100mm machine gun, personally I wouldn't have it in a flying pose like this. However, in exam mode, this kit suddenly becomes more natural to have like these kind of wild melee poses. Normally in kits like this, I would not use the ground Gundam style shield in the melee form. I think it looks kind of goofy, but in exam mode, I think it looks fine. In exam mode, you kind of want to have the Blue Destiny in some kind of melee pose, because going berserk like this, that's what its inclinations are, to just go hog wild with whatever melee weapon it has on hand, including this bludgeoning shield weapon, and also the beam saber. So getting into the beam saber pose here, the stubbiness of the beam saber actually looks fine in this kit. I'm not quite sure. I think the proportions of the hands are a little more slender than a typical mobile suit, which makes it look fine. The shortened length is still noticeable, but it's not distractingly so. And it does make this kit seem a little unique. From a certain angle, it kind of gives the illusion that it's just like projecting the beam out of its hand, which I think is cool. But yeah, this kind of about to give a very like hard downward swing with the beam saber in exam mode. This is the pose on the box art. This pose is featured in the manual and on the side of the box, and I think it's for good reason. It's very dynamic. It looks great. Not a lot of other mobile suits could pull it off while looking as good as the Blue Destiny does. This is definitely a great pose to have this kit in if you want to pose it with the beam saber. But you don't have to, because you can also pose it bare-fisted. And kind of, this goes kind of into my conclusion, where this is a very nice kit, especially for the price. It comes with everything you would expect it to. It looks great. It's color accurate out of the box. The only thing you might need to pay attention to is you might want to, if you use the manga head, paint the antenna white instead of using the wraparound sticker, because it's really not good and does not go on well at all. But I think the biggest strength of this kit, in my opinion, besides the design, if you're a fan of that, which I am, is the flexibility of the poses and being able to make a lot out of a little. As you saw in the accessory section, this kit doesn't come with a lot, but you can do a lot with it. 100mm machine gun, you could have it running and gunning, you can have a standard like standing firing pose, you can have it kneeling and shooting behind the shield, you can have a flying firing pose, you can have it off to the side while you use the shield in a melee attack in exam mode. Like, there's a lot that this kit can do with the bit of equipment it has and look great doing it. The articulation of this kit is fantastic. As you would expect for a melee focus suit like this kit is in exam mode. The articulation is excellent. The only kind of down point I would give is the ankle armor kind of interferes with the foot articulation, and in my opinion, or I don't know, in my experience, the hands and the sockets, whatever like thing they're reusing from the ground gym, seems a little loose. The hands seem to pop off very easily, but these are nitpicks, and I would definitely recommend this kit if you even have like a passing interest in this design, or one of your war designs like the ground gym, the ground Gundam, things like that. So yeah, this is an excellent kit, and I would recommend this to just about anyone if you can find it for like kind of typical like high grade pricing, because I got it for around $20. It's definitely great value for that. So yeah, that was my review of the high grade Blue Destiny Unit 1. I really love this design, and I really like this kit. And I will see you next week when I take a look at the Master Grade Zeta Plus Unicorn version.